10 reasons we live in a computer simulation. You've probably heard the theory that we're all living inside a computer simulation. Sounds crazy, but it could actually be true. If so, it means that none of us are real. Einstein himself acknowledged this, and when asked if reality is real or not, said it doesn't matter because existence only matters if it's real to us. I've been looking into the simulation theory for the last 6 years. Upon first coming across it, I was blown away, but now I've become numb to its implications if true. Simulation theory was popularized by movies like The Matrix and the writings of Oxford Professor Nick Bostrom, who proposed that it's extremely likely we do live in a simulation. He wrote his now famous paper called The Simulation Hypothesis back in 2003. It's notable that Elon Musk, creator of SpaceX, Solar City, and the Hyperloop, and recognized as one of the most innovative geniuses the world has ever seen, has stated he's sure we're living in a simulation. If we do actually live in a computer simulation, don't worry. The world will go on, and your life has just as much meaning as if you never knew about this theory before. In future videos, I will explain why we live in a computer simulation, our purpose inside the simulation, and why it's nothing to be afraid of. Without further ado, let's get into the top 10 reasons why we are most likely living inside a computer simulation. Number 10. Ancestor Simulators. In the last 50 years, computer power has doubled about every 18 to 24 months, which is known as Moore's Law. In 2019, computers are now so powerful they can predict the outcome of certain events and use artificial intelligence to analyze and examine those outcomes. Could you imagine how powerful computers will be just 20 years from now, or even 50? With the creation of quantum computers, D-Wave, and smart AI, computers will be able to create such lifelike simulations in a few decades that the people in them will believe they're conscious. We might just want to run ancestor simulations to see how the world would have turned out with events happening differently. If we strive to create ancestor events, what's to say that our creators didn't do the same? Perhaps we are one of thousands of ancestor simulations being run on some quantum computer in a dingy laboratory right now. Number 9. If someone can, they will. If it's possible to create a simulation inside a computer, then it's highly probable humans will run various simulations. The idea of running a simulation would be too tempting, and even if starting a history simulator were illegal, someone, somewhere in the world would do it. People might also have good reason to run a simulation beyond mere entertainment. Humanity could be facing death, forcing scientists to create a simulated world as a massive diagnostic test. The simulation would help them find what is or could go wrong with their world and how to save it. Number 8. Visible flaws. If a simulation is advanced enough, those inside needn't recognize it as a simulation at all. If you were to grow a brain in a vat and manipulate it with stimuli, it wouldn't know it's in a vat. It would assume itself a living, breathing, active person. But even advanced simulations can have flaws, right? Wouldn't we notice some imperfections, some glitch in the matrix? Maybe we do see such glitches in our everyday lives. The Matrix movie offered the example of déjà vu, when something seems inexplicably familiar. The simulation may be skipping like a scratched CD. Supernatural events like ghosts or miracles could also be glitches. According to simulation theory, people really do witness these phenomena, and they do so because of bugs in the simulation's code. The internet offers plenty of anecdotal evidence of these glitches. Keep your mind and eyes open, and maybe you'll see some for yourself. Number 7. Math makes up life. Everything in the universe is quantifiable in some way. All the secrets of the universe are solved using math. In fact, we can explain the universe better using math than we can with words. If everything is mathematical, everything can be broken down to binary code. So if computers and their data progress enough, Could a functional human be created using the genome sequence inside a computer? And if you can build one being, might not you build a whole world of them? Scientists speculate that someone may have already done that and created our world. To determine whether we're living in a simulation, researchers are undertaking serious investigations by examining the math that makes up our universe. Number 6, the Anthropic Principle. It's amazing that humans exist. For life to start on Earth, we needed everything to be just right. We're the perfect distance away from the sun, the atmosphere has the correct composition, and gravity is just powerful enough. And though there may be many other planets with those conditions, life gets even more impressive when you widen your perspective beyond Earth. If some cosmic factor like dark energy were even a little stronger, life probably wouldn't exist, either here or anywhere else in the universe. The Anthropic Principle asks, why? Why did these conditions come about so perfectly just for us? One explanation is that the conditions were deliberately set in place with the intention of giving us life. Every convenient factor was a fixed condition in some vast lab experiment. The factors were just plugged into the universe, and then the simulation was started. This let existence and our individual planet evolve the way it has. A consequence of this is that those behind the simulation needn't be humans at all. Some other set of beings may be running it, and they choose to hide their presence from us. Number 5. Parallel worlds. The theory of parallel worlds, or the multiverse, posits an infinite number of realities with an infinite number of possibilities within them. Picture the floors of an apartment building. Universes are part of the multiverse, much like floors are part of the building. They share a common layout, but each is distinct, and they'll contain different things. Jorge Luis Borges likened the universe or multiverse to a library. Within the library are an infinite number of books. Some differ by just a letter, while others are completely different stories. The theory has all sorts of crazy implications for the meaning of life. But if there really are multiple universes, why did they come about? How come there are so many? If we're in a simulation, the multiple universes are multiple simulations running at once. Each simulation has its own set of variables, and this isn't random. The simulation's creator plugged in different variables to test different scenarios and observe different outcomes. 4. Fermi's paradox. Our planet is one of many with conditions that could support life, and our sun is quite young compared to others in the universe. You therefore might expect proof of life elsewhere, from planets where life runs parallel to ours, or from runs where life began eons earlier. Furthermore, humans have ventured into space, so shouldn't civilizations elsewhere have also tried space travel? With a billion other galaxies out there, some of which are billions of years older than ours, wouldn't at least one have mastered space travel? Since Earth has the conditions for life, you'd even expect Earth to have been colonized by an advanced civilization at some point. Yet we have found no trace of any other form of intelligent life in the universe. The Fermi paradox can simply be summed up as, where is everybody? This ties back into simulation theory in a few different ways. If life should exist elsewhere, but only exist on Earth, that could be evidence that we're in a simulation. Those behind the simulation chose to simulate life nowhere else, for simplicity or to see how humans do alone. 3. God is a programmer. People have long exchanged ideas of a god as a designer of the world. Some imagine one particular god as a bearded man in the clouds, but simulation theory says that God, or any other, may instead be a bespectacled programmer hunched over a keyboard. As we've established, a programmer can create worlds out of simple binary. The only question then is why the programmer would encode within us the desire to worship our creator, a key part of most religions. This could be intentional or unintentional. Perhaps the programmer wants us to know that he or she exists, and wrote code to give us an innate feeling of having been created. Maybe the programmer intended nothing of the sort, but we've intuited the creator's existence nonetheless. The idea of a god as a programmer even goes along with the idea of intelligent design in two different ways. The first is that if code started life, letting everything evolve within the simulator to where we are today. The second is that it might make literal creationism exactly right, just like the Bible says. God created the world and life in 7 days, but he would have used a computer rather than cosmic powers. 2. Outside the universe. What's outside of our universe? With simulation theory, the answer would seem to be a supercomputer surrounded by advanced beings. But an even crazier possibility exists. Those beings who run the simulation might be as fake as we are. There may be multiple layers of simulation. As Oxford Professor Nick Bostrom suggests, the post-humans running our simulation are themselves simulated beings, and their creators in turn may also be simulated beings. Here may be room for a large number of levels of reality, and the number could be increasing over time. It's like you sat down to a game of The Sims and played it until your characters created a Sims game of their own. The Sims, in turn, programmed and played their own game while you are secretly part of an even larger simulation. This still leaves a question. What is outside the creator's real universe? It's an idea so far removed from our lives that it could be impossible to speculate on. But if simulation theory can at least explain our universe's limited size and note what's immediately outside it, well, that's a good start in determining the nature of existence. And number 1, fake people make for easy simulations. Let me explain. Even if computers get vastly more powerful, the universe might seem much too complex to fit in one. Each of the 7 billion currently alive is complex enough to rival any computer imaginable, and we're an infinitesimal part of a vast universe which contains billions of galaxies besides ours. It would be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to take into account that many variables. But a simulated world needn't be anywhere as complex as it seems. A convincing simulation would need just a few detailed key figures, and then a great many barely sketched secondary players. Think of games like those in the Grand Theft Auto series. They contain hundreds of people, but you only interact with a few. Life could be very much like that. You have yourself, you have your close family and friends, but everyone you pass on the street, they're not real. They have few thoughts and no emotions. They're little more than set dressing. Let's stick with the open world video game analogy for a bit. These games contain large worlds, but only your current location contains true action at any one time. Reality could run the same way. Areas out of sight could be stored in memory and are brought up only when needed, saving huge amounts of processing power. And what about distant areas that you'll never visit, such as all those other galaxies? The simulation never needs to run these areas at all. It just needs to display convincing images when you try to view them. But never mind people on the street or distant stars. You don't even have proof that you exist, at least as the person you imagine. We think the past has happened because we have memories, and because of records like photos and books. But what if all that is just freshly written code? What if your life was turned on the last time you blinked your eyes? Haha. It's mind-blowing to think of your life in all these ways. But as I said in the beginning, whether we are living in a computer simulation or not, your life is important. Make the best you can out of it. This life is all we know and have. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you believe in the simulation argument or not. If you like this video, like it and subscribe for more mind-blowing videos.